Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Enough is enough. No more fantasies about annexation. Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederiksen declared capturing the mounting tension over President Donald Trump's repeated calls to take control of Greenland. Analysts warn that the situation could test NATO, strain U.S.-European relations, and reshape Arctic security. We're now joined by Professor Rasmus Gjedssø Bertelsen, a professor of Northern Studies, Barents Chair in Politics at UiT, the Arctic University of Norway, to explore more of this issue. Good to have you back on TVP World, Professor. I want to start with this statement of enough is enough, no more fantasy about annexation. Do you think that President Trump will listen to Greenland's Prime Minister in all this?
I think we have to be very realistic about the influence that Denmark or Greenland can have on American politics. I think we have to be very realistic, and I think realistically we have very, very limited influence. These things are guided by dynamics inside the United States that are forces far beyond what Denmark or Greenland can influence.
Right. Well, but you saying that, though, sounds like this decision is made or going to be made in Washington, but we're talking about a sovereign state, about territory. That's going to concern people when they hear that statement, isn't it?
Well, this is, of course, extremely concerning, and I've had the opportunity to talk about this with you before. This is extremely concerning, but the fact of the matter is, of course, that the United States is an immensely powerful state, and it has the ability to impose its will on countries and nations around the world. And now the U.S. president has gotten the idea that apparently he wants to incorporate Greenland into the United States, and there's very, very little Denmark, Greenland, the Nordic countries or Europe can do about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, President Trump has said very much that he has put a timeline on all this. I think he said, watch what will happen in the sort of next 20 days or so. Where are we going to be in 20 days after this? Will there be American troops stationed? I mean, there already are Americans in Greenland. I mean, there's already a base there. But what more will happen, do you think, in the next coming few weeks?
That's very hard to predict. And when we talked about this on the 23rd of December, I remember I used the term cat and mouse, that the United States is like a cat playing with a mouse. And of course, the United States can escalate, it can threaten, it can bully at will. I expect that we will see continuous stress, provocations, social media, like the map that Steve Miller's wife published. I think Steve Miller spoke, I don't know if you can say in support of his wife. Of course, we've seen the remarks by Donald Trump himself, and I assume that we will continue to see such remarks, such provocations. Real action we will see is very hard to predict. That is pure speculation, but it is a cat playing with a mouse, and it's very, very uncomfortable to be the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to be the mouse.
But also, I think if we look at the whole picture of it a little bit, it's different, isn't it? I mean, with Venezuela, this was a direct military operation. Donald Trump says that the United States had evidence against him, against Venezuela. It's a different case with Greenland. I mean, as far as I think the public knows, there's no such threat from Greenland. I mean, in fact, he's always using a security argument that the United States needs Greenland for international and national security. There's already a U.S.-Danish defense agreement. What more could he need? Why the entire sovereignty? Is this about resources? Is it really about security? What is the main force driving President Trump in all this, you think?
I mean, the first thing about the comparison with Venezuela, of course, the facts of the matter, well, I mean, sovereignty is sovereignty, but of course the reality is that great powers, superpowers, they respect other nations' sovereignty at their will. And as we talked about before with Greenland, it does not make much sense or any sense from a military strategic point of view, because Denmark, the Kingdom of Denmark, is a very loyal ally of the United States. There's no reason to expect that Denmark and Greenland would reject any American request concerning extra bases or the like in Greenland. Also economically, this does not make any sense. There's no reason to believe that Denmark or Greenland would reject any American mining projects, etc. I mean, if they were done with correct environmental regulations, etc. So as we talked about before, I think this is a question of Donald Trump's personality, and I think this is a question of that Donald Trump wants to be a president that has enlarged U.S. territory significantly. And there, of course, Greenland is the opportunity to do so. I mean, whether annexing Greenland or annexing Canada, then of course Greenland is much less hard nut to crack.
Right. One of the elements of all this as well is NATO membership. I mean, the United States and Denmark, Kingdom of Denmark, are both in NATO. The Danish Prime Minister said that if there would be a military confrontation of any kind of sort, I mean, this is unprecedented. What would that do to NATO? I mean, she said it would end NATO. It's finished. That's her quote. If that were to happen, what does that do to NATO?
Well, of course, I mean, it would be an enormous humiliation of the Kingdom of Denmark and by extension Europe. But quite frankly, I don't think it will end NATO, because Europe needs the United States so much. And it's not realistic that any other European country would sacrifice its relationship with the United States for the sake of Denmark and Greenland. I mean, would Denmark sacrifice its relationship with the United States for Portugal if the United States took the Azores? Of course not. And quite frankly, I mean, yes, so it would be an enormous humiliation of Europe, but the United States has humiliated Europe on occasions.
Well, as you said, a cat and mouse game indeed. We'll have to watch with concern and anticipation here. Look, I know we're conscious of time here, so we'll wrap that up now. Thank you again so much. Always a pleasure speaking to you here, Professor Rasmus Gjedssø Bertelsen there in Norway. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.